Welcome to Talking Practice. My name's John Hamill, and today we're going to start How I Woke Up Naked in a Basement. That's right, we're going to be starting in 1985, technically 1984, but we're going by the year of graduation, not the beginning of the year. Doesn't matter. I'll be talking to Bryan Margaca, co-founder of his own company. I'm pretty sure I can say the name of. I forgot to ask. If not, it's a type of shirt. Media. I'm smooth. That was smooth. Okay. Like a lot of the people I'll be interviewing, I have not seen Bryan in years. I did a few years ago because he has a company. He has his phone number on Facebook, and when you put Facebook on your phone, it downloads all the contacts. So I had Bryan's phone number in my phone, in my contacts, and I did not know that until my pants started talking to me. And I was like, oh, it's Bryan Margaca. Like, I haven't talked to this guy in years, and like I butt dialed him. So yeah, a couple of years ago I butt dialed Bryan, but prior to that, we hadn't really talked a lot. So this is kind of the first time. Yeah. So I think this one's really good. I think I might get 1,000 subscribers out of this one. Where am I at now? We're 3. You know, 3's also a good number. 1,000 or 3. You know, one of those. Either one of those. Anyway. Now it's time for the video. Woo.
All right, you ready to get into this, man? I'm ready.
Sure. So, hold on. First of all, you were supposed to be first. I did some other ones, so you're benefiting from that because I recorded them and I edited them and I watched me, and I'm like, I gotta fix myself. So like, I've like recalibrated me. My guests were fine. So like, when people watch them, it's like it's cool, but like I was kind of stiff.
Phrasing.
So like, I'm gonna be just better.
Yeah, John, I'm easy.
Oh yeah, no. So you're gonna be great, and you're like, oh, this is great. But then when people watch later on, I was like, oh, he's not good now. But like, no, just keep watching because then I'll get better again. They're not in order. But yeah, so you're gonna benefit from that. So anyway, why don't you tell all of us why it took a while? Like, what were you doing during that time?
Gotcha. Yeah. So John, when you and I were trying to connect, coronavirus kind of protocol lessened, and all of a sudden the film industry completely exploded. So, you know, I was going from 0 to 100 back into the, just back into the industry.
Yeah. So,
you know, was catapulted into a pretty serious big job in LA that I was working on remotely here from New York City. And that was just quite interesting. Big crew, huge crew, probably like 200, 300 people. Some people are on set in LA, others are scattered around the world just working on it. So it was interesting.
Can you explain, like, I kind of know what you do, but I also don't. If you want to just kind of go into like, what do you do, man? So it's kind of like what you do for a living is kind of like what I do for fun. It kind of seems like.
Yeah, it's pretty similar.
Right. Yeah. So better equipment and everything, but.
Well, I mean, John, you're a host. You are a tech guy. I mean, you're wearing a lot of hats in the industry.
An employee of the month.
Yeah, so in the industry, I think I've taken on the label of executive producer. So essentially, I'm pitching creative ideas to just different companies, different businesses, different people, and then assimilating the crew, the gear, and just to make sure that all the inner workings are happening for production. Yeah, so just kind of I'm kind of the glue that keeps everything together.
Okay.
You know?
Yes.
Yeah.
And,
so.
So I have my, employee of the month. You do have, and I know you were like very specific. It's just a New England Emmy. It's like, okay. You just have it. I've got like 3 of those. Never mind. Don't worry about that. But yeah,
I think you do
some.
Go ahead, Dan.
Yeah. No. Yeah. You've got accolades, I think is the word I'm going to use because I'm the host and I can say whatever I want.
Cool, man. Cool. I'll take one of those accolades behind you because Those are incredible, by the way.
Oh, you know what? Here, this one is a music award. So,
oh, dude, that's incredible.
You got the music video award. Here's another thing that I did. At my old job, I used to be a graphic designer.
Cool.
And this has nothing to do with that. It's just I was at a desk, and I brought an orange into work. I think it's a clementine, but I'm just going to say orange for, simplicity's sake. I brought it in. I was going to eat it at lunch, and I did not eat it. And it was very cold in there, and I had a ceramic heater on my desk, so this orange just sat at the desk for like a week, and I kept forgetting to eat the thing, and eventually became petrified. So now I have this orange from 2008.
Wow.
It's hollow. I drew a little face on him. But yeah, this is a super old, friggin' petrified orange.
Wow.
Do you have one of those, Brian?
You know what, John? We actually just had a ton of lines, actually, that kind of
put them in front of a ceramic heater.
But I definitely dumped them because they were getting to the point where they were actually like seeping out.
I had that with potatoes. Never let potatoes go bad. That's a smell that stays with you.
Yeah, I can imagine. So John, catapult me into elementary school.
All right.
I'd love to go back.
We're gonna go to check it out. I got the pin here, so it's 1985. We're going to.
Wow.
Okay, and this is the first. We're gonna start in kindergarten, and I'm gonna work this way all the way through to college. It makes you realize that your life was better than you thought it was, I think. And like I was looking at like your Facebook page, and like we have like 73 mutual friends, and I'm like, damn, Brian knows a lot of people, and I'm like, they're mutual friends, genius. I'm like, I know a lot of people, right? It's like, I think the next one down is George Raymond is like 50 something, and obviously it was more than that before like we started culling the crazy people, but you know what I mean? But it's like, yeah, we know a lot of people. And it's important because I need people to know that in the beginning I liked school. Because it will break my spirit eventually. But like you start out liking it. Like you remember like watching TV as a kid, and like they'd always have you'd be watching kids and they're like, oh man, I hate school. And I'm like, school's great. You play with blocks, you take naps. Like what's wrong with these kids? In kindergarten, that was it. It's like, I love school, right? Your friends are there.
Yeah.
So I'm going to start on the very first day of school.
Okay.
I do have a picture. It's not here now, but I'm going to put a picture up. It's me and Jen, my neighbor, and I had a metal Gremlins lunchbox.
Well, yeah.
And first day of school, the school bus comes. I get on the bus. I don't know what I'm thinking, right? I'm probably excited. I know what the kid behind me is thinking. He's like, I'm going to choke this son of a bitch. Because what happened on the first day of school was, and it occurred to me that if I'm going to be talking about real people, I can't use their real names. So I have like a little jar of fake names, right? So I'm just going to pull it. So for example, Chokey on the bus here is Juicebox Mahoney. There you go, see? So that's what I'm going to refer to him as that. So I'm not going to get sued by someone who tried to kill me one time.
Sure.
So, anyway, I'm on the bus, minding my own business, like 5-10 minutes into the ride, and it just, from the back, just chokes the doo-doo out of me. And, there's, parents, guardians or whatever on the bus, and they pulled the kid off, and, call his mom, is like, yeah, he's not ready for school. He never made it to the school first day. They held him back. And I think he had some developmental issues, so it's probably not cool to call him crazy, but he did try to kill me, so I think we're even.
Yeah.
And that's something I want to talk about is when we talked a month or so ago, whenever we first started to talk about doing this, you had a story about like a bully that like made you move. Like it was like so much more serious. That's all of my stories are very low stakes, like the lowest. Every one of my problems is like I can't talk to a girl, right? And like either that's the problem or that's like the catalyst of the problem. And it's like, you could solve that in like 10 seconds.
I prefer not to.
But other people have like legitimate things. And I mean, I don't want to like put you on the spot, but like, and I can give you another fake name for.
Oh, this is perfect.
Hold on, let me get a better name for. I got Larry Poots. Is that a good name for
Larry Poots? Works with
Larry Poots harassed you, right? So why don't you talk about Larry and?
Oh man, Larry Poots. Yeah, Larry Poots. At first we were kind of like acquaintances, became neighborhood kind of colleagues, I guess you'll say. But man, just like I just remember just like always like poking the buttons with me, and I was I think at that age I was like trying to feel my boundaries. I was also trying to find myself in the world, and when you have someone who's picking at you at that stage, it gets kind of it gets difficult.
Yeah.
And I'd be walking to the bus, and he would get on the bus, and he would just like, would punch me now and again just because he felt like it. I would.
Like we talked about him, like I forgot about this kid, and then I remember like, yeah, he was kind of a dick, but I don't really remember him doing anything to me. And I'm like, is it because I'm white? Like, was it? Because you said it was like his whole family. I'm like, what's going on?
Yeah, well, John, keep in mind you also lived in our neighborhood, like the section of our neighborhood, but you were a good street down. Like I didn't start walking past your street until I started sneaking out, going to Cumberland Farms, thinking like that was the excitement, But like,
it is exciting. Cumberland Farms.
Honestly, it was a blast sneaking out. I roll the screen up really quiet, and then I'd kind of like crawl out, and I meet up with. I think VJ Saraf and I did it once or twice, which was so fun. VJ and I used to have real fun. He was like my neighborhood, friend, close friend. But just getting back to my bully, it eventually, got to the point where I'm getting off the bus and he has his older brother taunting me.
Yes, that's crazy.
And and I wasn't a fighter at all. Like I'm still not a fighter. I'm like, I could throw down if I needed to, but avoiding any type of combat in any respect, But yeah, eventually it got so bad. I was like, man, Mom, I can't deal with this anymore. And then my parents sent me to a Catholic kind of middle school in Braintree.
Wow.
So. That's that story.
Right, let's get back to levity. I just want to say, like, there's, it's weird because, like, I don't want to sound like I've got just dumb stories and, like, other people have, like, serious stuff that happened to them. I've got, like, one time, Chad Carroll, I don't know if you know him because he got kept back, but, like, he lives on my street. And I think it was maybe first grade, I went to his house. And, like, we played outside for a while, and then we came in and watched Inspector Gadget. And I had to go to the bathroom. And while I was in the bathroom, I came back out, and he's like, they just showed Dr. Claw's face. And I'm like,
no way.
Damn it! I wanted to see that. And, like, into an adult, I don't know, somehow Inspector Gadget came up, like, as an adult. And I'm like, yeah, I can't believe I never saw the episode where they showed his face. And people are like, that did not happen. And I'm like, that son of a bitch lied to me, right?
Wow.
Like, then there's my trust issues, but like that's such a tame, stupid story compared to like I had to switch schools because this kid tried to kill me. But yeah, so that's where my thing low stakes, but they're gonna be fun for people to listen to. So
yeah, totally.
Okay, that's just where I'm gonna go with that. And the other thing that when we talked about this earlier, and I don't know if I think it was Heather who said this, that like it would be cool to like bring the bullies on here. And be like, hey, did you know you were a real piece of doo-doo back then? But like,
that would be incredible.
It sounds so funny, but like I can't do that. Like my confrontation, I do not like confrontation at all. I actually hid one time at work. My friend's ex came in, and I saw her, and I ducked into the back for like 20 minutes. not my ex, mind you, my friend's ex. I'm like, nope. And I went back there because it feels like yours. Like when you have a friend, when you have like a couple of friends who are a couple, and then like you guys do everything together, go on like road trips and stuff, and then like they break up and like you didn't do anything, and you feel like a kid, like in a divorce, right? And like,
Of course.
that's what it felt like. I'm like, well, there goes half the people I hang out with. Don't get me wrong, like New Stepmom is great. You know Jackie Alexander?
Yes, of course.
Okay,
of course.
yes, she's New Stepmom. She doesn't know I call her that, but now she does.
Wow. That's
But
so cool.
I'm just like, you guys okay? You want a hug or something? Because like, don't do this to me again. I can't take it. Love each other. Yeah. So.
Wow. John, let me ask you this. Were we on the same bus together going to Nash?
Like first day of school? I don't know. We might have been, because one of the things I noticed when I'm doing this project is like, you know, all the people who are saying, yeah, this is cool, I'll do this. I'm like, okay, I'll get you for however many episodes I can do. And like you were on board, so I'm like, okay, I know you're in kindergarten, and I'm looking at all my other pictures, and I'm like, dude, Brian's not in any of these pictures. So we were only in kindergarten together, but like I remember you from all the time. So we talked about this in one of the other episodes, but it's like, okay, so we saw each other in like you know, obviously recess, maybe lunch, but like, you know, all the field trips and everything. So that's interesting to me. Is like, just like your memory kind of is funny.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, so hey, let's talk kindergarten, because I really only have like that first day of school story is like this very only specific thing I want to talk about. So if you have anything you want to jump in there and talk Miss Mello's class, which by the way, great name for a kindergarten teacher.
Oh my goodness, incredible.
Right? Like you couldn't. Mello.
Yeah, but it's interesting. Like she was laid back, but she had such like a sweet charm to her, where it's like I just remembered like wanting to, like, honestly as a kid I wanted to be held by her. Like, she was just so like bubbly and like, you know, I remember blonde.
Right.
I just remembered I was like, oh, I just want to be in her presence, you know. I will say though, Mrs. Mello was the very first time that I realized that I liked girls. I was like, yes, I know that I'm attracted to girls. I knew in kindergarten.
Women.
Well,
because no, she was young. I mean, I don't know how young, but I mean, she was probably just out of college or something, maybe, you think?
Yeah, like, oh yeah, she had to have been. I mean, kindergarten.
Right.
You know, you don't need like a 50-year-old watching kindergarten. Like you get, you couldn't handle it. And then was it Mrs. Mello or Miss Mello?
I think it was Miss.
Miss Mello.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she obviously wasn't married at the time.
Right.
A bunch of young kids, and the thing is, we were all in the class. Like, I remember going into that room, and like the room was split in sections. I don't know if you remember.
I can picture the room. It's so weird. Like over in the corner over here, that's where the cubbies were, you know, and there's a painting thing and a sink over on the left side.
Yeah, and wait, were there bathrooms in the room?
I think there was, like in the middle left. You go over there.
Yeah, exactly. You walked in the room and it was on the left.
Yeah, because so there was a sink for painting, and then you go around the corner, and then you can go into the bathrooms. Yeah. Yeah,
and then like I remember like there was kind of these 3 or 4 sections, and you know there was definitely a nap section that almost had like this foam padding, different colors from what I remember, or there was a carpet or something. There were kind of like 2 ways you could get into the class. I mean, well, the kindergarten had like its own wing almost. The kindergarten was its own wing, and they had that entrance that when you walked in, the kindergarten class was on your right, but you could walk. I believe you could walk through to the other side and actually leave the building right there.
So I didn't go inside, but about a month ago, I walked to Nash, and I took some videos. I'll add those to this too. But I took some.
Cool.
It looked rough because no one's been in there in a while. I mean, it has been open, but not because of COVID.
Yeah, yeah.
It could use some paint, but
John,
back
you
to
know,
1985.
yeah, yeah. John, it's funny. I'm thinking of you back in the day and kind of what I thought of you, and I just remember I was like, man, John Hamill is the quietest person I've ever met back in the day. You were very shy.
Yeah, you
And
had to earn my being talked to at or whatever.
gotcha,
And then I'd
gotcha.
open
I mean,
up,
you and I were, yeah, no, totally. You and I think we're cordial with each other. But you know what's funny though? I do remember though, you always had the girls talking to you. I do remember this.
See, I don't remember that until later. I'm like, oh, no, like, you know, you're like asleep, and like 20 years later, you're like, son of a.
Yeah.
You know, it's like,
You know, I would always tell myself when I was a kid, I was like, oh, I always thought that Mike the janitor and Mrs. Levangie were dating. Dude, didn't they give that impression off? Like they kind of fit the same roles almost. Like Mike the janitor, and then Mrs. Levangie is like the lunch lady, but she's also like the assistant to kindergarten. It's like, yo, lady, where do you belong? Where do you belong?
now you've got me thinking like they're in the closet. They're like, that's a check. That's a check. You know, oh my god. Hi. How you liking the video? Brian's quite a character, huh? Here's the thing. In between recording this and posting it, I found out that Miss Levangie and Mike, the janitor, did have a kind of relationship, but they were brother and sister. Learning a lot of things doing these videos. That's one of them. So, sorry.
Here's the thing: is like, you know, now that we're on Mrs. Levangie,
Yeah.
what position did she apply for? Did she apply for lunch lady, or did she apply for the assistant kindergarten teacher? Like, what was that?
I always remember her as the lunch lady, or not the one who serves the lunch. She was just like the lunch, like we called her lunch lady, but I don't know if there's a different name for the person who like supervises lunch, because she didn't give
Her
out
name
the
was
food. That was
Carol.
something else.
Her name was Carol, I believe.
Yeah.
Lunch lady.
Yeah,
She was like, you know,
right,
she's
the
really
one
nice.
who would like serve you the slop, the square pizzas and everything. That was the lunch lady, but like we call her lunch. Yeah, right. But yeah, I always remembered her as that, and it wasn't until, what was it, 2 hours ago when you said that, I was like, oh my god, she was the helper for Mrs. Mello. Like I didn't even remember that, and now it's like, yeah, she was there.
Yeah, how old was Mrs. Levangie when we were kids, though? Was she like late 40s?
She was older. I don't know. Like I said, it's when you're like 4, everybody's, you know, it doesn't matter if somebody's 20 or 80. They're the same. But she was older than Ms. Mello, definitely.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Mrs. Levangie dressed old. I remember that.
Yeah.
Like, I remember long skirts, a turtleneck, and like a cardigan sweater. And she always had like earrings. She always had like pearl earrings or something. And I was like, man, this lady is old.
She was one of those people who like, she wore her glasses like this, and she like look through. Like I can't see right now anything. I don't even know what the point of this is. But that's how she would. That's what she did. So she would look down her nose, her glasses at you. So
I'm trying to think. Like in kindergarten, we ended up like, you know, doing a lot of arts and crafts, I would call it. You know, like hand on the colored paper,
right,
drawing.
The turkey. You got to do the turkey for Thanksgiving.
Yeah, totally. And then I remember like the turkeys that we would make. Mrs. Mello would like hang it on the board outside of our room, and would like have like all our names with like, you know, and we would do it for Halloween. We would do it for Thanksgiving.
So for Christmas, do you remember like red and green construction paper rings? They'd make like ringlets, and that would be all over the place. Like, and that's one of those like the smell things. Like you can just remember like the paste and the construction paper smell. Like just like thinking about that is like it goes right into your nostrils. Like I can remember that.
the art. I remember the arts and crafts factor pretty well. I also remember kind of sitting at like tables. We didn't have desks. We had like circular square tables where we would like 3 or 4 people would be sitting there and we would be like doing, worksheets essentially.
Yeah, we did that. Miss Mello would read to us, or Miss Brown. Remember Miss Brown from the library? She was the librarian.
Oh my goodness.
She got married, and then she became. Was she Garabedian? Or I know that was somebody, but she had like a ridiculous. It went from Brown to like the hardest name for like a 6-year-old to remember. And I'm like, can you just be Mrs. Brown again? Because I don't know what the hell your name is. Get rid of that guy. He's no good for you. But it was a weird concept for like a kid to like somebody that their name's just different now. And I'm like, but you're the same person. Like, yeah, you got a different name. Like, okay.
It's really wild seeing everyone growing up though, man. Like we all just became adults and kids and families.
And there's the two kinds. There's the people who look exactly the same, and there's the people who look completely different.
Yeah. John, the one thing I do remember about kindergarten though is I remember graduating kindergarten and being in first grade and looking back down the hallway at kindergarten,
right,
and seeing Miss Mello and just being like, man, I miss her so much. Isn't that crazy? I remember doing that. And I remember first grade, second grade, I just remember like I was getting further away and I would always see her and she would look at me and she would smile. And, Miss Mello had to know all the little kids that had a crush on her. I mean, she had to have known.
I mean, she never went to jail, so she was, I never saw her on the news, so she knew to keep her distance. But, So the library was right next to the kindergarten, right? I think so. You'd get to go there. I think that's the layout. So, yeah, every time we went to the library, you'd be like, "How you doing?" You check in on her, right?
I was like, I just remember, like, man, like she had to have known. I mean, that must be kind of neat though to be like, college graduate and be like, oh, these little kids like think I'm nice. It's kind of flattering, I guess, right?
Right. I could see her like going to bars or something and like getting rejected, and then she's like, "These little children love me," Like, I could get any one of these 5-year-olds I want.
I remember being really young. I don't know what grade. It could have even been kindergarten, but I remember like going to the nurse's office. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
The nurse's office was actually attached to the principal's office or something like that.
Right there. So you'd have to go into the principal's office and then to the left.
I remember faking sick a lot in elementary school. I never was really sick. I would just go in, I'd cry. I would cry a lot. And be like, oh, my stomach hurts. And then finally, like, they called my mother. My mother would come in. And I was like, Mom, I was pretty honest with my mom. I was like, Mom, I just wasn't feeling school today. And she's like, okay, that's okay.
I see. I would always be too afraid to, like, I would never do that. But also, if I was sick, I'd be like, I don't want to bother somebody. So I probably would go to school sick and then make everyone else sick because I didn't stay home. I did stay home sometimes, but I mean, like, I would just be like scared to go to the nurse's office. So I'll just be like, just sneeze all over everyone, and then everyone's out.
John's the asymptomatic.
Yeah, I'm freaking patient zero for like.
John, that's funny, man. That's so funny.
Like if this was happening now, like they would track the virus to me, right? This little kid went to school and just sneezed all over everyone.
Oh
now everybody's
God.
dead.
That is so funny. That is so funny.
All right, we got to wrap up kindergarten, so I'm going to ask final thoughts on kindergarten, besides, wanting a big old hug. And the big pillows.
My final thoughts on kindergarten. Man, kindergarten was such a magical moment because it was just so fun and so just easy, and it was inspiring, and like
it was
the first time I actually
of many friendships, and
yeah. It was like to be honest, it was probably the only time I was. John, hold on a second. John, hold on 1 second. All right, so kindergarten. Yeah, kindergarten was, I think, the only time I wanted to go to school, to be honest. It was just like
until 7th, so I didn't break until then. That's when it killed me. But
like, I think we all felt really comfortable.
Yeah.
It was almost like, oh, if this is what school is like, then I want to go there all the time. And then once you hit
it was easing you into it.
Yeah, it was just like, you had nap time, you had recess time, Mrs. Mello. Like, I just wanted to, I wanted her to hug me like a blanket. Like, man, it was awesome. Meeting kids your age and kind of interacting with them. And then and then just I just remember, man, as I would go further, as I got older, I'd look down that hallway and I would still miss kindergarten and realize that moment was over. And that, Mrs. Mello.
I get that. And it's like when you're doing division and multiplication and you kind of look over there and I'm like, I would like to play with blocks now.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was fun.
Yeah. All right. Well, it's been great talking to you, and I will talk to you again for 6th grade. Until then, I'll see you later. And,
sounds good, John. Appreciate it. I'll talk to you later.
And subscribe to this doo-doo if you haven't done that already. All right. I'll see you later.